Hello, it's Andrew here again, and I'm going to do some more reading for you. This is from Andrew and the Magic Giveashitometer, Growing Up with ADHD, available on Amazon as a book for $7.99 and a Kindle book for $4.99, or if you've got Kindle Unlimited, for absolutely free. So that's good. Welcome to Jack and Ori. Hyperactivity. This one is slightly less complicated. This is exactly what it says. People who just can't sit still. Sometimes this can be quite extreme. I have met people with ADHD who literally vibrate, wiggle, or shake from head to toe. For me, it's fidgety legs. This can be quite annoying because I'm getting older. This causes me to have aches and pains caused by the repetitive movements. I do have a rather good resource to help with this. It's called a fidgety feet, and it comes from my good pals at Special Direct. It's basically a footboard with a dome on the bottom that you can use to wobble until your heart's content without experiencing too much impact. Lots of my ADHD brothers and sisters use these. Now, it's worth mentioning here that some ADHD people with hyperactivity are not hyperactive all the time. Maybe just when they are stressed or bored or generally bothered. Again, not everyone with ADHD has hyperactivity. These people are often described as having attention deficit disorder, or ADD. Now, hyperactivity is similar to attentional difficulties with me. When I was a kid, I used to tap my legs as if I were playing the drums. "Stop that bloody tapping," my dad used to shout. I still do that a bit, but the worst thing I do or did is walk away when people are talking. It's almost an involuntary action. Someone is talking to me, and all of a sudden my legs take over and I'm off. This could be a family meal, during a conference when somebody comes to ask me something, or at a party or a social gathering. These days, I'm much better at staying still. I combine keeping my legs on the floor with making eye contact and the aforementioned newly developed attentional listening skills, and I'm in business. Impulsivity. This one can be the most challenging of all presentations. Every person with ADHD has impulsivity or demonstrates impulsive behaviours. In fact, it's the only one of the three presentations, attention deficit, hyperactivity and impulsivity, that is in all types of ADHD. And yet it is not in the acronym. Even more bizarrely, when I ask parents, carers and professionals which of the three presentations they find the most difficult to manage, they invariably answer impulsivity. So why isn't it mentioned in the title is a mystery to me. Now, impulsivity is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes acting without thinking is the best course of action. Every now and then I do an activity at my workshops where I ask the attendees which is best, react or respond. Invariably they answer respond. And when then we go through a range of scenarios where react is actually the better option. For example, when a child runs into the road, the most sensible thing is to impulsively grab the child and pull them to safety. It's like the Nike advert, just do it. It's not think about the consequences, make a plan and then do it. One wonders how much ADHD there is in sport. Every now and then I like to test my impulsivity as a skill. Do you remember I asked, how would you feel about standing up in front of 500 to 1,000 people you don't know and delivering a paper? Well, here's another one for you. How would you feel about standing up in front of 500 to 1,000 people you don't know and delivering paper you haven't written or planned? You're shuddering, right? To me, this is a blast. Can I talk to these people for an hour just off the cuff? Yes, I can. These, in fact, are often the talks that are my best work comes out. No boundaries, no rules, no filter, just pure ADHD impulsivity. I was recently interviewed for a webinar, and this particular interviewer always sends me the questions in advance. And one of the questions is going to be, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? Good grief, I don't know. It's all part of the plot. And if I messed with the timeline, it would all be different. And besides, even the really dreadful stuff makes for great stories. So I got on the phone to Granny Sarah to see what she had to say. Who is Granny Sarah? I've made you wait long enough. When I was 17, I was working at the Pizza Hut washing dishes. Sarah was working there as a cleaner, I think. Anyway, she asked me to babysit for her whilst she went out on a date. Dutifully, I showed up at her flat and sat with her baby boy Leo and read books all night. There was no telly here. Anyway, she got back from her date and we sat and chatted for a while, and then I got up to leave. As I was leaving, she asked me, "What happened to your mother?" "She died last year," I replied. "I could be your mother from now on if you like." "Okay," I said, and off I went home. Well, Sarah kept her word, and she has now been my mother for nearly 40 years. Not only that, a wonderful grandmother to my 4 children. So that's Granny Sarah. I think she's probably ADHD too. ADHD people are often drawn to each other, and despite our lack of blood ties, Granny Sarah and I are incredibly alike in our ways. So I'm on the phone to Granny Sarah, and I asked her about my dilemma. Well, if you want wisdom, you should always ask your mother. She told me that she never had any choices. One option would come along and we would take that option. In my case, decisions just had to be taken or not. You either have to go through the door or you don't. You take the job or you don't. You rent the flat or you don't. You dig? There were no questions of what I shall do, so the 16-year-old me has no choices, or did I? Well, maybe if I'd hung about and not made decisions so quickly, other options may have come along. There it is, our old friend and comrade, impulsivity. And now finally, the one that is really close to my heart. And you're going to have to wait for tomorrow for that one. See you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.